They think they rescued a cat until fur starts to change color. Taking a look at the scrappy fur, she pushed it aside to look at the skin that lay underneath. She could have sworn that that patch of fur was different before. Then she thought of an idea. She would shine a UV light on the patch of fur, but when she did, she couldn't believe what she saw. Before we begin, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell for more amazing videos. Nicole Bohm loved animals. She lived in Germany and couldn't help herself when she saw two kittens in an old barn. She knew they needed help, and she only had one option. She felt that it was fate. It came at the right time, and she decided to take the poor kittens back home safely. She didn't notice what else she was inviting into her house. The kittens were soon named Ellie and Rosie. They looked a little scrappy, weird since they'd been in a barn for weeks. The kittens had an appetite and ear mites. Nicole half expected it, so with a little bit of care she knew she'd get them right as rain. At least, that's what she thought. Nicole took the kittens straight to the vet, and they gave them a diet that was high in calories. They were then dewormed and vaccinated. Lastly, the kittens were treated for their ear mites. The kittens were on their way back to health. They gained a good amount of weight and started to thrive. But Nicole was oblivious to what the vet hadn't noticed. The kittens soon doubled in size and became very naughty. They would get into all of Nicole's stuff. She put away anything harmful for them and kept the bathroom door shut. But as prepared as Nicole was, there was something happening to Ellie that she was completely unaware of. As ready to take on the responsibility as she was, Ellie had a secret that she was oblivious to. After months of care from Nicole, the kittens were doing very well. They'd completely transformed from how she'd found them. They now had beautiful green eyes and soft fur. Nicole had given all her love and care to raising the little ones, but Ellie was hiding something that she'd failed to notice. Nicole had fallen in love with the kittens and was proud of their progress. Their personalities were developing nicely, and she couldn't dream of a world without them. Ellie wasn't as well behaved as Rosie. She'd run around the room taking socks and ripping up anything she could find. Rosie was happy to take naps all day. But Nicole didn't know about the change that Ellie was about to undertake. It was a day like any other in Nicole's house. The kittens were doing their usual business with Rosie sleeping and Ellie looking for things to destroy. After roughhousing with Nicole's things, Ellie decided to take a nap on Nicole's lap. With Nicole stroking her gently, she was appreciating her beautiful markings. Then she noticed it. Ellie had a tiny patch around one of her eyes. It was hard to notice, but it was a bright white ring around her eye. Nicole hadn't noticed it before, but maybe it was always there? She tried to put it in the back of her mind, but there was still a lingering feeling of unease. She called for her husband to give a second opinion. Nicole's husband inspected the patch of fur, and she moved her hair aside with her fingers so that she could get a closer look at the skin underneath. Maybe it was just her imagination. "What am I looking for?" Hans asked. He saw nothing. "Hang on," she said. "I'll be right back." When he came back with the UV light that he used to look for scorpions while hiking, Nicole was more than a little confused. But when he turned it on and shone it on Ellie, she was dumbstruck. The UV light picked up all kinds of strange, swirling patterns on Ellie's skin, including the half moon around her left eye. Hans shone the UV light on Rosie, but it didn't have the same effect on her fur. But what could cause these kinds of markings, and why could they only be detected by a UV light? "I'm taking her to the vet first thing tomorrow," Nicole murmured. All night she lay and worried about the swirling patterns on Ellie. It could be normal, she reassured herself, but there was something about it. She couldn't let it go. It could just be her imagination, but what if it wasn't? She had read about a cat's fur discoloring due to a health issue or a deficiency, and she knew that she wouldn't be able to rest until she got it checked out. There was only one thing for it. She woke early and managed to round Ellie up into her travel crate. Ellie wasn't pleased with this development. She knew that the cat carrier only meant one thing, a trip to the vet. Nicole had gone through all her photos of Ellie to date, and she was right. The white patch of fur hadn't been there before. The vet examined Ellie but didn't seem too concerned at first. The vet ran some more tests just to be sure. He took a skin scraping and examined it under a microscope and muttered to himself. He told Nicole that Ellie was riddled with ringworm, a kind of common fungal infection, but not a major issue and not one that would normally cause fur discoloration. That's what the UV light had detected. Ringworm affects many cats, especially rescued cats, that have been exposed to the fungus. It causes inflamed rings on the skin, but some cats never develop any obvious symptoms. Ringworm is usually detected with UV light. Its swirling pattern glows under the light source. But even though Ellie had been diagnosed with a fungal infection, this didn't explain why her fur was changing color. The vet prescribed antifungal medication, and then he ordered a skin biopsy to determine why Ellie's fur was turning white in patches. He was beginning to suspect that there was more to Ellie than meet the eye. Nicole suspected that perhaps the loss of her cat's coloration was due to stress, but she was so very wrong. It was by pure chance that they all went on to discover that Ellie had a rare condition. When the test results came back, the vet called Nicole immediately with the news. Ellie had a rare condition, and this was just the beginning. In the week that she had waited for the test results to come back, Ellie was beginning to sprout white tufts all over her body. Soon she would be unrecognizable. Nicole had never heard of vitiligo until now. Vitiligo is an extremely rare condition that causes loss of pigmentation in the skin. It manifests itself as patches or tufts of white hair that soon spread to other areas of the body. It can occur in both humans and animals, and some come with other complications, such as an autoimmune disease. So naturally, Nicole was concerned. Thankfully, Ellie appeared to be in excellent health despite having a pigmentation disorder. Her strange transformation progressed throughout the next 2 years until she became completely unrecognizable. But Ellie is blissfully unaware that she's any different from her sister, Rosie. Her black fur slowly turned white, and Nicole was amazed at the beautiful markings that began to appear. Snowflake-shaped white patches started to emerge as the white fur started to spread. The stark black and white tuxedo coat that Ellie was born with soon became flecks of white and gray, and netizens can't get enough of the cat's breathtakingly beautiful metamorphosis. "I was surprised," Nicole said. "I'm still surprised. Ellie has become a celebration of the unique and different. Her personality's the same as ever," Nicole added. "She's as cute and lovely and as playful as the first day." And Ellie quickly became a cat celebrity with her own Instagram and Facebook pages with thousands of followers. She's become a silent spokesperson and a celebration for humans struggling with vitiligo too. She shows us that unique is beautiful. One follower wrote, "You're adorable. My mom has vitiligo. We didn't know that cats can have it. Big hug from Siente and her mom." And another, "She makes me feel so good about my vitiligo. I'm so glad someone introduced Ellie to me. Every day struggle with my spots." But a few years down the line and Ellie's transformation is still not complete. "Her changing still goes on every day," Nicole explained, "and I love her more and more." She keeps a detailed record of her transformation in photographs and shares them with the world on Ellie's Instagram page. And people can't help but marvel at Ellie's beauty. Who could ever have guessed that an ordinary tuxedo cat would touch so many hearts? Some may say that these unique features look like snowflakes, but Nicole confirms that it makes her look like a cute little owl. "She looks like a little snow owl," Nicole said. "She's so cute, and her fur continues to change every day. She's a pretty cat, no matter what color her fur is," one reader wrote. "I hope she stays healthy and lives a long life." That fateful day that Nicole opened her heart and home to 2 kittens in need, she never expected that Ellie had such a unique condition. And through Ellie, she's teaching the world that it's okay to be different and that being unique is beautiful. Millions of people are insecure about their differences, but Ellie's story shows us that these differences should be celebrated. Pet cats are usually spoiled rotten, and there was no exception for Waffles, the typical pampered cat. He lived a cozy life, and he set foot outside the house as he pleased. But one day, Waffles brought home a friend. Was this Waffles' love interest? Felines in general are incredibly diverse, varying from the typical domesticated cats to the huge savanna cats that roam the wild. Still, these two have a lot in common. The domesticated cat still wanders free whenever and wherever they like, but Waffles' journeys outside one day will give his owner a frightening scare. Unlike the dog, domesticated cats have never been dependent on their owners. They do not depend wholly on humans for food and survival, whereas domesticated dogs do. Cats remain very independent, and that's why we've come to enjoy them so much. Waffles, being the adventurer that he was, had an impressive predatory instinct. He would eat the food his owner set out for him, but then always enjoyed a snack he hunted himself. Still, what does this cat do in particular with his powers that have his owner so enamored? Cats remain wild, but still they have a softer side that keeps us loving them. Dogs are known to show more emotion to their owners and will be content to play with them for hours on end. So when a cat does something remarkable, we all can't believe our eyes. Waffles' owner was enjoying her downtime when she heard some unusual noises. Waffles was usually a quiet cat, but that day he was making an incredible racket, and he was meowing incessantly. Waffles' owner was in a state of shock and feared the worst, but as she looked out the window, she saw that Waffles had a friend by his side. Waffles had never been one to make friends, as she'd fostered some shelter kittens in the past, and Waffles didn't even want to look at them. But there he was, lying on the ground with his friend beside him, chatting and purring, having the time of his life. Emma knew what she needed to do next. As Emma thought about going outside and introducing herself to Waffles' best friend, she felt that it might not be such a good idea. Cats can get very touchy-feely about their own space, but still she needed to document the moment. She went in for a closer look, but as soon as she did, she realized something unbelievable. The cat beside Waffles was in no way an ordinary cat. Waffles was at ease with his new friend, but Emma was incredibly nervous. It was a considerably big bobcat, and Waffles seemed like he had no clue what his friend really was. They both began to follow each other through the glass, while Waffles jumped from windowsill to windowsill in the house, and this continued for weeks, until one fateful day. On a stormy, cold day, Waffles sat waiting for his friend like many others, but this time his female companion did not appear. Waffles was heartbroken. He spent the rest of the day jumping from one window to the next, and Emma could only hope the wild bobcat was okay. Time passed by, and still the bobcat did not appear. It was spring now, and all through the winter they hadn't seen her. Waffles was miserable, and Emma started to worry about his health. Obviously heartbroken, he'd begun to lose a considerable amount of weight and had to be taken to the vet. They told Emma that her poor kitty had the blues, so he gave Waffles mood enhancers to combat his depression. Still, that wasn't enough. Waffles was still deteriorating, and every day he'd sit on the windowsill where he first met his friend. On one spring day, Emma was again enjoying her downtime when she heard Waffles meow ecstatically. She had only heard him do that once before, so the first thing that Emma thought was, the bobcat's back. She ran downstairs and found Waffles rubbing against the window. Emma couldn't believe it. She was back, but this time she had company. The human and cat couldn't believe their eyes. Waffles and Emma watched in amazement as 1, 2, 3 little kittens came running out of the bushes. It was as though their mother had told them that this place was safe and that Waffles was indeed a friend. Was this enough for Waffles to be cured of her depression? Bobcats usually have 2 or 3 different shelters for maximum protection, but it seemed like this bobcat only needed one, and this was Waffles' backyard. The bobcat had decided that instead of a natal den, which is usually a protected cave, she felt safe enough to raise her kittens in Emma's own backyard. These wild cats spare no safety when it comes to their youngsters. They have auxiliary dens spread through their territories in case there's a predator nearby. As Emma now shared her safe place with this wild family, she decided to read up about them, and Emma could not have been more proud to have been chosen by the bobcat. Each day, Waffles was doing better and better. He felt like his old self again, and his health quickly improved. The mama bobcat would play and nurse her beautiful 3 kittens right in the backyard, while Emma and Waffles watched, amazed. One thing did concern Emma. She didn't want Waffles to get the urge to go outside and play with the wild family. No one really knows what could happen, but Waffles seemed content to just watch them from his window every day. Waffles sat by the window every day, watching this incredible family thrive. It's not every day that wildlife chooses you, and Emma felt it was such an honor to be selected by the mama bobcat. Waffles, in high spirits, is amused daily by the wild family, and Emma can't help but sit back and smile. Please share this with your friends and family.